Good morning and welcome to the 14th Crafty Max Originals BeadALong. We are going to be making this necklace today. What we need to do is make the stars first, and so I'm going to show you how to do that. If you have already become a established beader, then you'll know some of what I'm going to talk about. If not, I'm going to explain to you first off that we use 6-pound fire line, which you should have gotten. You're going to cut about a 3-foot length, and it's going to make about 1 star. You'll have a little left over, but it's always better to have a little left over than it is to not have enough. Once you thread it on your needle, and in order to thread it, my suggestion is to take the end and stick it in your teeth and pull it back through, and it'll make a great little flat. I don't know how clear this is going to be because it's so the line is so clear, but it'll make a nice little flat spot, and then you can put that into the needle. You want to leave yourself what's called some dead tail. You have 2 tails. You have a working tail, a working thread, and then what's called the dead tail. Now, we're not going to tie a knot or do a stopper bead because we're only going to do 1 round before we go ahead and tie a knot and secure it. So what I want you to do is wrap it around the pinky of what's called your non-working hand. So it doesn't matter if you're left or right, you just want to do it around the non-working hand. You want to wrap it 3 or 4 times, not tight because you don't want to cut off your circulation, but tight enough that when you pull after you've wrapped a few times, it doesn't slide off. Okay, just kind of set that hand, of course, aside. Now, I don't know if any of you have heard of the term called culling. And what that is it is going through your beads and finding out if there are any beads that have any issues, whether they're broken or non-drilled. Like this one does not have a second hole. Now you can either go through and cull all of your twins beforehand, which these are doubles, or I'm sorry, these are called duos. I call them twins because originally they were, now they're called duos. Or you can do it as you go. I usually just do it as I go, but you do have to be very aware. As you pick them up, please make sure that there are 2 holes and that not one side is not broken, okay? So you can choose whichever color you want. I will show you one that is finished so that you can give a guesstimate. You're gonna use 1 color for the center and 1 color for the outsides. Now you can vary this as much or as little as you want. You can do every round different, so it's completely up to you. But go ahead and lay out your beads. These are your super duos. These are my 15s and these are my 11s. Okay, now the 11s came on what's called a hank. You can either cut them all off and put them into another container, or you can cut 1 or 2 threads at a time, but be careful because the threads do pull apart, and so you will have a mess all over your floor very quickly. By the way, a great way to clean them up is to put a stocking or a very well used but dry coffee filter over the tip of your vacuum, and then you can vacuum them up, and before you turn your vacuum off, put it over a bowl, turn your vacuum off, and they will drop. Stockings are always definitely the best. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to pick up whichever color that you choose to be in the center. You're going to pick up 10 of the duos. And again, if you haven't culled them, make sure as you're picking them up, you're looking to make sure there is a second hole in each one. Okay, so there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And usually when I put them on the needle is when I look at them. I kind of turn them to the side and look at them. Now what you're going to do, you have 10 on there, okay, is you're going to go back through them. So you're going to go, and if you haven't watched my videos before, I kind of talk in plain English and plain terms so that everyone understands. So this is your dead tail that's wrapped around your pinky. So you're going to go up the butt of all of them. So you're going to go from the very first one to the very last one, right back through that same hole, so that when you pull them tight, you will make a circle. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to do a very loose circle, and we're going to tie a knot. Do not pull that knot super tight because then you will not be able to get your needle in and out of the threads, or in and out of the beads. So we're going to do right over left and then left over right. That is what's called a square knot. Oh, Make sure that you don't get it around other beads. That is called a square knot, and the advantage to doing a square knot is it locks, because one is going one way and one is pulling the other. Okay, so once you've done your square knot, now I tend to put my dead tail back on my pinky, and the reason I do that is to hold the work that I'm doing. You do not have to do that. That is up to you. However, I do encourage it because sometimes it's a little hard, especially if you have nails or big fingers, which I have both, to hold on to the little beads. Okay, we're going to move the thread. Right now it's actually right here. You can't really see it, but it's right there where the knot is. We're going to move it up, so just go along the side of one of the super duos. Doesn't really matter which super duo you go up. Okay, now we're going to add, and this is similar to the peyote stitch, but we're going to add a super duo in every single one. So we're going to add 10 of them. I'm choosing to change colors. You do not have to. This is, again, your choice. Okay, and you're going to catch the top of the super duo that is already started in our circle all the way around. So see how I'm catching the top one there? And we're just going to do that all the way around. And as you do them, they're going to set into place. Okay, again, if they're floppy, it's okay. We're not even close to being done yet. And I'm trying to hold it so that you can see them as I do them. So you do not have to hold it this way. I'll only do 1 or 2 at a time, and then if you notice, I squish it with my fingers, and what that does is it keeps the threads from knotting around other things. So as I close this around, it allows the thread to slide through here and not wrap around most of the time. You still will get your thread around other things that it's not supposed to go around, or your pants leg as it's draped beside you. Somehow this thread finds everything that you don't want it to. Okay, so now we've made it back around. We're going to go through the very first one, just like we were adding it again. Okay, now we're going to flip our work. And the reason that we flip our work is because, and this is my dead tail wrapped around my pinky. The reason that we flip our work is because it causes the tension to go opposite directions, which is really good. So it's pulling one way, and then it's pulling the other, and then it's pulling one way and pulling the other. And since we're not doing knots all through this, that keeps the tension nice and neat. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move our thread up again so that it's at the top hole of the second row. Okay, we have to add some space because as we're getting bigger, there's getting more space. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to add an 11 and a super duo. I'm sorry, a 15, a super duo, and a 15. These are the tiny ones that you got. Okay, and then put it through just like you did before, except now we're adding a little 15 bead and a little 15 bead on either side, catching that top one again. Okay, go all the way around and do that and come back for the next video. And I'm sorry I have to break them up so much, but 10 minutes is my little max time for YouTube's. So I will catch you in the second video with the next round. See you then.